That was quick.
I got the green light from you. You said it was cool.
That is true.
All right, I can't help it when the music starts. Here it comes. Here it comes. And yes, welcome back. Spill Your Guts podcast, episode 10.
We are actually on 12.
Oh my God. Samsonite. I was way off. For all of you younger people who don't quote movies anymore, that's a Dumb and Dumber reference. You're welcome.
Yes, very good.
Listen, episode 12.
12.
That means something. That's a dozen.
Those last two were kind of emotional and
Listen,
probably a blur.
it's all been a blur. No, they've been good. They've been good. And you know what? I could just have to say, here we are, episode 12, and it's just me, you, and one of my favorite guests who I'm about to introduce, but no Rachie today.
I know, that's kind of...
So we're just going to take like a half a second, everybody. RDP, she's on a work trip in Chicago right now, so she couldn't be with us. So you guys are just stuck with me and my thoughts. Woo! It's actually going to work out perfectly because I'm so excited to introduce you guys to one of my great friends, mentors, somebody I admire and respect very much. Marcie Walker is in the house. Boop, boop. Yeah. And it's particularly special because we're following up from last week's episode where I got real out of my comfort zone, Jesse.
Yeah, and you put me out of my comfort zone as well.
We talked about tarot, and we talked about woo-woo, and I kind of shared a little bit about my spiritual evolution, if anybody cares. And Marcie's raising her hand and pointing, woo, woo, woo. And so it was actually kind of a vulnerable episode for me because we talked about some of that discomfort of like sort of coming out of a spiritual closet and standing in my truth and what I believe and sort of like not shying away from putting that out there anymore. And so having Marcie on this next week after is perfect because she's been pretty instrumental in helping me kind of step onto this next. How would you call it, Marcie? Hello. First of all, welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome to the podcast.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you for being
here. I'm elated to be here.
Oh my gosh.
I think you're on your next. You're like literally leveling up.
Well, you're supposed to say that.
No, I would tell you the truth.
I know you would because listen, guys, she's an Enneagram expert. One of these days we're going to talk about the Enneagram on this podcast, but
oh boy. Type 8.
she's an 8. And if you know me and you know the Enneagram, you know I surround myself with 8s, which is great for me.
Mandy, I will always tell it to you straight.
I know you will. That's why I love it. That's why I'm glad you're on here. And I was hoping that you could this week, since Rachie's not here, I wanted to showcase some of the stuff that I've learned from you anyways. But also, it's ironic because last week when I recorded the tarot episode, I had some listener feedback come in. And I thought it was very interesting because she's a good friend of ours who listens regularly. And she wasn't aware of like the past couple episodes and the themes because they haven't aired yet. And she was sharing that she thought that we overused the term woo woo, like to like a detriment. And I was like, ooh, tell me more. That's good feedback. Like, what do you mean? And she was like, well, I kind of feel like, like the first couple episodes, as you guys were talking about, like what you do at retreats and some of these like modalities and personal development things that you do, can lean into quote unquote woo woo into like the spiritual stuff. And she's like, I totally got that the first couple episodes, but you guys kind of use it so much that it sounds like you're sort of hiding behind the term. And I, right? Jesse with the
record scratch.
And I was like, wow, actually, I really took, I took that in such a good way. It was such good feedback for me because I was like, ooh, that might be something there. And it was interesting because of what I talked about last week, sort of calling me out, right? Like using the term woo woo in a space where it feels uncomfortable to talk about like spiritual practice because it's not mainstream, right? Is as I think what we were doing. And I was really appreciative that she kind of called me out, because part of this whole thing, like talking about this and spilling our guts, is about demystifying these things that are real, that are having real impact and real change and real growth. And so I thought, how perfect, because I'm having Marcie on this week and we're going to talk about so I kind of shared about my faith collapse last week, which happened. I've been in it and recovering from it for years now. But I wanted to pick your brain about so when someone wants to start a inward journey, what the hell does that mean? Where would one start? You are a coach in all things woo woo. So I'm just blurting all of this out, spilling it out everywhere for you to just come in and help us make sense of this. Where would somebody start if they're on a journey, if they were kind of finding themselves with their faith or whatever foundation pulled from under them? How does one begin that work? 1, 2, 3, go.
I feel like I need a mop or like a broom and a little dustpan right now to sweep up all the fucking questions you just asked.
I know.
Me.
I'm like, Marcie, bless. Hashtag bless.
So when you asked me to talk about woo-woo, I took a minute and I actually looked up the definition of woo-woo.
Oh, yes, you did.
Of course I did.
Wait, before you go any further.
Yes.
See, here I am, just already interrupting you.
I know. I made 4 pages of notes. And
I know you did, bitch. I'm looking at them and I'm getting sweaty because I know it's going to get good, but I wish that sound would play every time I felt sweaty. Wow. No, but can you who are you? Can you tell the people who is Marcie Walker? Why the hell are you here to tell me about my life in a nutshell? Look, I'm in a nutshell.
Who am I? I am Marcie Walker. I am a certified clinical hypnotherapist. I am a practitioner of neuro-linguistic programming, even though my profanity doesn't show that. I am a life coach, a business coach, a Dharma, which is purpose. I help people find their purpose. I'm a coach there. I'm also a practitioner of holotropic breathwork, and I am a full Mesa carrier, which means that I have received all of my shamanic energy rights. And so I also have Reiki under my belt. Yes.
So you're what I call just a full woo-woo queen.
I fully dance in the woo.
I love it.
I'm so glad that I get to talk about woo, because by the definition, it's unconventional beliefs regarded as having little or no scientific basis, especially relating to spirituality, mysticism, or alternative medicine. And that got me kind of fired up because I dance in all of those zones.
That is the official definition of woo-woo?
That is the official definition of woo-woo. So then I was curious and I was like, okay, alternative medicine, unproven or disproven methods used instead of standard medical treatment to prevent, treat, or cure. And I thought that was super fascinating. So then it made me wonder, who's making these fucking definitions?
Yeah.
And so I looked.
Actually.
So then there's a difference apparently between complementary medicine and alternative medicine.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I've never heard the term complementary medicine.
You go to the doctor and they write you a treatment plan of all the things, and then you go and see a chiropractor. The chiropractor at that point would be considered complementary medicine. Okay. If you did not proceed with the standard medical, you're just a number in your diagnosis, and you went and saw the chiropractor without that, it would be alternative medicine.
Oh, okay. So if you're sort of using it in lieu,
right,
it's complementary. Right. That's interesting. Okay,
isn't it though? You know, and we're going to dive into.
We'll dive in.
We're going to dive into all sorts of things and where people get started. And I think, to answer your question, where do you get started?
Yeah.
In your healing journey. And for you, thank you so much for being vulnerable and transparent and sharing your faith crisis, because I know how challenging that was. For me, I had a health crisis. So I went from doctor to doctor to doctor and got treatment plans, and they came up with all these codes to diagnose what I had, and none of the shit was working. Wow. So I went down an alternative medicine route, and I went through the woo. And so through all of the decade of dealing with a stress-related autoimmune disease, I discovered that my mission is to bridge the gap between spirituality, business, and science.
Yes, which is why you're the perfect person to come on here and define that for us, because you also do retreats.
I also do retreats.
And you hold sacred space and do.
I love fire ceremonies.
All the woo.
I've changed your life with fire ceremony.
Girl, we be burning everything out here. burn it all.
I know. We should do one for Jesse.
Whoa.
But but the thing that I love about your work is that you're also you really are bringing this into some mainstream spaces, and I think that's really important, because I think that like when we talk about wellness and fitness and the spiritual wellness, right?
Yeah.
We're just sort of trying to feel it out right now, like how we present this kind of stuff in like the fitness and wellness space.
Yeah.
So I think it's really cool that you are bringing this into like the business world. And do you find that people are like really receptive to it? Like, are people seeking out this work?
I think through burnout, which brings me to like your faith crisis, right?
Yeah.
You had
Use me as an example.
Oh, girl.
Here we are.
I've been waiting my whole life to hear that. No, seriously though, because you had a breakdown to breakthrough, but your breakdown was through the church and mine was through health. Right. So my health crisis started because I was working out of my values in a business. I was pushing past my physical boundaries and all of these things that ended up happening. And so it brought me to my knees. And then I was the phoenix rising through a breakthrough, which is a spiritual awakening.
Yeah.
Right. So there are phases or steps that people, or stages of Dharma, if I was to use my Dharma coaching language, that people need to go through. So there's the first phase, which is self-awareness. And self-awareness is, oh shit, this is what my life looks like. This is the trajectory that it's going. I don't want any part of this.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. And so then they're like, well, what do I want to do instead? Or there's another thing that it's the second level would be self-improvement.
Okay.
So self-improvement, I want to change my physical body. I mean, how often did you see that?
Oh, yeah.
Every January 1st, people walking into the gym and being like, hey, I want to start a new diet and an exercise program. Right.
That's interesting, because I think that a lot of times when people get fired up about personal development, it's like the gateway drug to woo-woo, right?
Oh my God.
Like when
that's on page 2, paragraph 3.
I'm tapping into your notes. I ain't even seen them. So would you say that like the main things that cause people to come to that first point of awareness is like a health or faith crisis?
Identity crisis, a breakup.
Oh.
And I think oftentimes either a faith or a health crisis also can be the gateway to an identity crisis, because then then you're surrounded by people that may or may not fit your mold or thought process or mindset anymore. I
would say that's definitely true for me. I think I'm like, oh, can I just check all 3 of those boxes actually?
Yeah.
Because last week we were talking about, this whole topic. It really was sort of out of the question of, does your faith affect your self-love?
Yeah.
Right. So it was like, well, I had to kind of share my faith story, because it absolutely did affect my self-love, because I felt like the faith space that I was sort of trapped in, that was not, what is the word I want? Wasn't, all encompassing of all kinds of other belief systems. Right. So I felt really sort of cornered.
Yeah.
And it made me feel just like a certain way about myself that started to just like compound and compound and compound and keep me like in this weird struggle, like cycle. Right.
Yeah.
And when I started really working on myself, which came through the personal development, physical improvement, it kind of like got me enough wiggle room to get out of that corner to do like the even bigger work. But for years, I really thought that I was just it was just weight loss.
Yeah.
It was just fitness. I would have, just put all my money on that. And I didn't realize that actually what the fitness was doing was giving me enough confidence to actually get up outside of that physical stuff and get into the spiritual.
Right. The self-improvement starts with that health journey, right?
Yeah.
Someone wants to change the physical component of what they're feeling, or, how they're moving, or want to lose 5 vanity pounds or 10 vanity pounds or these things. And it starts the whole progression. And they're wondering, how do I become the best version of myself? Diet, exercise, nutrition, and, or maybe it's self-help or therapy or personal growth and development, like you're talking about, or they're coming up with these biohacks. How do I be better at work?
Right.
How do I do more with less? How am I mastering?
Honestly, that's how I got kind of into Reiki, because I was experiencing so much stress at the job that I had at the time. And I did not feel like I had like my old faith foundation to stand upon.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, okay, this Reiki thing feels like this could be a way I could like protect my energy, and like not knowing really what I was, where I was headed. I was like, okay, maybe this is like going to help me feel better so that I can go in and keep like working at this like, high performance level.
Yeah. And I think that the self-improvement phase or stage is probably the most important, because it is helping people transition from 3D to 5D.
Ooh, what does that mean?
Oh, that means...
What is that? We're getting weird. Rachel, where are you?
The 3D is more, we're processing... Thank you.
Pause. 3, 2, 1, go.
We, on the 3D, we're processing emotions and traumas and things on a physical level.
Okay.
And working our way to the 5D is that we're processing them without having to name it in our bodies or to store it as trauma. And, a good example of a good awakening that has happened has been COVID. There have been, like 9/11, it happened to our nation, right? But COVID happened to the entire planet. And it was a big wake-up call for a lot of people on the planet.
Yeah.
And
there's definitely like a pre-COVID existence and now a post. Yeah,
and now we're hearing more of the things about being woke and awakening and enlightenment and all the things, right? And COVID was a big factor in that. So, and the purpose of wellness and well-being is not to worry about our health anymore.
Ooh, tell me more about that. You think that this is not just like a niche thing, like across the board, people are searching for more?
I do. And I find it fascinating, and all of the things that I've tried to find answers through trainings and certifications, is with shamanism, that shamans believe that, so in a woo-woo word, aura, right? So in your aura, which shamans refer to as a luminescence energy field, they think that they believe that there are 5 levels of that. So the closest level to your body is physical. The next one out is mind, and then emotional, and then spiritual.
Oh, wow.
Right. And why I find that so fascinating is an alternative medicine, which would be Ayurveda, believe that there are 5. So part of your aura, and like when you walk into a room and you sense somebody and you're like, ooh, I don't like that bitch, then that's your gut intuition, because they're walking through the...
Right. Which is on the sciencey side, that we are emitting that electromagnetic frequency, and that's like measured and real.
And think about when you go and work out and you're feeling yourself and you have your brand new your gym clothes on and you get all sweaty and your endorphins are pumping. It totally raises your vibe.
And you're like, bless. I'm the baddest bitch in the room.
Yes. And it raises
I don't know if everybody else does that, but that's typically how I feel after a workout.
Using with clients, that's one of the states that I ask them to anchor in their physicality, and their physiological structure, so they can learn how to manifest things that are on a higher vibe like that.
Okay, so I want to break down like 9 words that you just said.
Okay. Ready?
So
1.
Okay, but don't actually count, because I'm prone to exaggeration. No, I know. I'm dramatic. It's fine.
It's fine.
When you say when you said like manifest, you said. So I want to talk about all that with you, but like let's take it from like step 1. So somebody comes to you and they're like, "I'm freaking out.
Yeah,
I know there's something more." I'm drawn to all this like maybe woo woo stuff, right?
Yeah.
Where would somebody start with that? Like what would that look like if somebody came to you and was like, help? What's the first step?
So this is an interesting question, because people don't normally come to me for this.
Okay.
People come to me for chronic pain. They come to me because the medical system's not working for them. They come to me to get off of, 6 pain meds. I have 2 ladies that are both dealing with fibromyalgia right now that are on a boatload of antidepressants. They're on 5 different pain meds. They're not tuned into their life, and they're like, what is going on?
That is surprising. I wasn't expecting you to answer that way, but immediately I'm like, oh my gosh, it's coaching is coaching, right? Like a lot of time people come to me because they want to lose weight, right?
But it's never about that.
And it's not about that.
No.
But they don't know that day one.
And that's kind of marketing 101. You have to talk it through your marketing. You have to talk about where the person's at, not where I take them to.
Okay.
So they come to me with fibromyalgia and they're a lot of pain. I help them increase,
and the pain and the physical stuff is one of those main roads to spiritual awakening. So
yeah, because it's your body's indication that you are off track.
Okay.
So if someone was to not be in chronic pain and need a hope dealer like myself, then then I would encourage them or invite them to take a look at the things that make them excited.
Okay.
And that light them up, because passion is that fire that's in your belly. That's a sacred messenger of telling you you're on track. And if you've recreated situations in your life that keep getting louder and uglier and louder and uglier until you fall down the stairs or you get blisters on your feet, that's your body saying,
Can't relate.
Yeah, wake the fuck up, bitch.
Okay, so what you're saying, so like literal, like the most bottom of the barrel, like number one thing somebody can start doing to feel better now is to start thinking about things that light them up and simply changing what they're thinking about.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that, to like raise vibration, it's
starting paying attention. It's that self-awareness, right?
Okay.
I walk into a room and I'm with my mom and I feel really small, or I feel constricted, or I go to share a story or with my best friend and I notice there's constriction in my throat. It's starting to pay attention to the little signs and signals that your body is giving you. And most times that people don't even know like how to interpret the sensations that are attached with emotions.
Oh, yeah.
So there's a fine line between anxiety and excitement or nervousness. And it's learning how
awareness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awareness is the first step. Yeah.
Well, and it's so contagious, isn't it? Like people's energy is so contagious. Like when you, like what you're saying is when you start practicing the awareness, and like I am now notice.
Yeah.
When I'm around certain people who are like always bummed out.
Yeah.
Or always in crisis.
Yeah.
Or always, negative.
Yeah.
And it takes like a literal physical toll on me now.
Yeah.
That I am aware of it. And and the more and more I lean into like this work, right? The less and less tolerance.
Yeah.
I have to, not because I'm being like snobby bitch or something, right? It's not like, oh, I'm so cool, I can't hang out with you. It's not that. It just literally makes me feel like shit.
Newsflash, you're an empath.
Well, we'll save that one for another episode. What does that mean? Like if this is woo woo 101, can you explain what empath means?
So I want you to think of being empathic or being an empath as your spidey sense.
Okay.
And it's usually a derivative of people growing up in fear, that fear has made them hyper or chronically hyper alert.
Okay.
Or living in that. So, for instance, you have an alcoholic father, and your mom and your dad are always fighting all the time, and you walk into the room and you sense it as a young kid, right? Then you're always kind of running radar outside of you to try to keep yourself safe. Like if you can sense it from far away, then you already know how to protect yourself.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And so then people develop this spidey sense along the way. And then, people are accused of being too sensitive or emotional or all the things. And when that empathy, it's being able to put yourself in someone else's shoes.
Yeah.
But you've learned it through trauma.
Oh, well, shit. Okay. Well, thanks for coming to the Spill Your Guts podcast. That's all we need.
We'll see you later.
I'm just kidding. So would you say how important then in relation to, all of these things is people's childhood and upbringing?
Oh my God, I'm so glad you asked. We know everything that we need to know about our self-worth and what we deserve by the time we're 7 years old, because from the time that you're in utero, you to 7 years old, you've already determined all of that because of the learned behavior that's going on around you. And you already know that whether or not your parents conceived you and both wanted you.
Wow. And so so then that explains why we're all fucking losing our minds.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. And so that's part of the human experience of coming here onto this planet. Like I think of our journey on this planet as I think of us as up in the sky somewhere, and we all get on a bus, and I'm on the bus and I'm driving, or I'm in the back seat, and then the person gets on and I'm like, hey, can you teach me about abandonment? And the person's like, oh yeah, let me sign up. And that's going to be my dad. Do you know what I mean? So you make these contracts on this school of life bus.
Right.
And now this is our whole entire journey. So the people that have caused the trauma for you are things that you signed up for. So when you wake up to your life through self-awareness and you're like, this is the trajectory, fuck me. Like, this is what you asked for to come for. So then you dive into self-improvement, right? And then once you start going through self-improvement, then you're starting to perfect things. And then you're like, oh, maybe there is something bigger. And then we transition to spiritual awakening. And you had your spiritual awakening through a faith crisis. And it doesn't seem to go away, does it?
No, I'm still waiting for it till kind of calm down and fuck off. But no, I'm still here.
And it's just going to so some trauma just keeps recirculating, just how life gets bigger and louder and uglier. If you don't look at it, it'll keep recirculating, but the amount that you're triggered in it gets less and less.
Well, I'm glad you shared that, because it's kind of like what I was talking about last week on our previous episode, because I was trying to sort of share how like the listen to your life piece, right? The realization that I was sort of recreating the same situation for myself without realizing it until this like last time when I really realized it. And so it's like, there's never okay, like you got this, like it's all steady now, right? As soon as like you sort of grasp one thing, it's kind of like on to this next thing. And I was telling you before we started recording that I had a little download I was going to wait to share with you until we were recording this so you could kind of like pick me apart live. For the people.
Oh my God, that's going to be exciting.
So I had a little download. And again, I think we talked about when we use the term download, but it's kind of like when you have a little spiritual revelation or a self-awareness revelation. I just call them downloads.
May I?
Yes, please.
It's a knowing without knowing you know the information.
Yeah, it's like all of a sudden.
Yeah.
It just comes on your radar.
And you know it's right. And I have a sense of knowing, and it's in my abdomen.
Yeah, like where do you feel it in your body?
And I feel validated.
Totally.
It's like when I'm on track with something that I do and I'm like, oh, yep, there it is.
Yes.
And now I know I can lean into it and trust it.
Right.
And so it's validating your intuition.
But unfortunately for me, that's when I also know that I can't avoid it because I've been told. Damn it. Oh, see, there I go.
So with the spiritual awakening thing, going from self-improvement to the spiritual awakening, that is your transition and the realization that you aren't just a mind and a body to improve. You are a soul to know. Nothing was wrong with you. You're not broken. There's nothing to fix. And you're ready and whole. You're already whole as you are.
Yo, I'm going to need you to read that again.
Yeah. So
I'm going to tape that to my mirror.
Right. And so
before I make you do that again, just because I've shared my story, we're using me as like the guinea pig here.
Yeah.
That right there, what you said, it immediately made me feel like, like, yes, but also a pinch of like, ooh, that's so hard. Like for somebody coming out of like a religious or whatever backgrounds we're all coming from, like to allow yourself the hope to believe that that's true and to work towards that. That's the work, right?
But isn't it better than playing the victim? Like, being
100%
in that stance of everything's happening to me. I would like listeners to reframe that and think about the things that are happening in and around their lives in all of the areas that they're happening for them, and they're in the transition, hopefully, of realizing that they aren't just a mind and a body, that they're a soul to know.
Do you think that the pinch someone would feel to like resist that and be like, no, that's not for me, or
because it's scary as fuck,
right? Because it's scary, and that's
and
also
they don't know
like,
where to start,
right?
Like especially if the the people that are around you aren't going through the same experience. Like a spiritual awakening is lonely.
Girl, you are not lying.
I have friends dropping off like flies. But during the spiritual awakening, your focus shifts from trying to fix yourself to trying to get to know yourself.
Whoa. Okay. There's so many sound bites here. Hold on. I can't.
I don't have enough buttons for this, baby.
The spirit. Say that again, please.
Okay. So in spiritual awakening, or the transition from self-improvement to spiritual awakening, it's unfortunate that I don't have video since I talk with my hands. The transition is about your focus shifting. It's shifting from trying to fix yourself because you think something's broken and wrong with you, right?
Right.
To trying to get to know yourself. And the mechanism in which you and I both obsess about is the Enneagram. Like I use the Enneagram with clients to create self-awareness and to have them come up with a self-improvement plan and to be able to illuminate things in their behavior and their personality and their motivations that they don't even see.
Yeah. No, you just said something so powerful because I feel like it,
this was all channeled, by the way.
my passion with fitness.
Yeah.
And a lot of people would think it's like, oh, you must feel so much better, right? Like when you've lost 190 pounds, right? Like, oh, that's the first thing people ask me. Oh, you must feel so much better, blah, blah, blah. And I never really know how to answer that because of course I do, right? Of course I physically feel better for many reasons, right? But the magic of the journey, right, was not in trying to fix myself. It was when that journey transitioned into knowing myself. Radical self-acceptance is what I say.
Yeah.
And so you just explained that perfectly. That's so powerful.
On the back.
Well, because right, the energy behind trying to fix yourself is not love.
Right. It's fear.
Right. So
or unworthiness.
So the transition from fear to love,
right,
is a spiritual awakening.
Right. And that's scary.
Woohoo! Oh, you're taking me to church, Marcie Walker.
So the definition of spiritual awakening is the realization that you are a soul having a human experience.
And that's it. Nothing to fix.
No, nothing to fix. You're not broken.
Yikes.
And then the next step is you dive into all the forms and systems into getting to know yourself.
And so that's why, like, if Rachel were here, we would be giggling about and you just listed off all the different certs and things that you have.
Yeah.
That's why all of us who get into this stuff like go crazy. Right. I'm like, have you done the Enneagram? Have you done this? Have you done that? And I like make everybody who hangs out with me crazy because I just want to let me into your brain.
I mean, truth be told, it was.
Tell me about your childhood. Light work.
Oh my God. I just wrote my full story today, and that's hard for an 8, an Enneagram 8. I was so proud of myself.
Listen,
how many hours did that take you?
It didn't take me very long.
I'm an A as well. That's why I'm asking.
It didn't take very long. It
would have taken me 2 weeks.
Well, listen, people out there.
I've been avoiding it for 47 years. But I finally was like, I've done everything I possibly can in my business except share my goddamn story.
And so today was the day.
Today was the day.
Let's go.
I outed myself. Yeah.
I love it. it. Well, I think it's interesting because like I was going to share you, I had a little download for you.
Yeah.
Okay. And so since you've been, along with me on my journey here for a little bit, you're picking up in a very crucial point in my timeline because I told you this summer that I was done with leadership.
And what did I say?
You told me to F off.
You're welcome.
And then you said some other stuff, some like hopeful, fucking nice stuff, but I don't remember it.
I know, because you were too involved in your anger.
I was.
That was a whole side of you that I have never even seen.
It's a lot. It's a side of me that not a lot of people have seen, actually. Yeah. And I realized that, we talk about like, healing our inner child, and I would spend a lot of time working on that stuff. I even did some retreats earlier in the year where I facilitated some inner child journeys, right? And I feel like I really, really understood that, and it was super powerful for me. But I was not aware that once you heal your inner child, you move on to healing your inner teenager.
Right. Do you know why this is?
No, tell me.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so every time that you're in this you're a soul having a human experience, right?
Right.
And so every time that you experience some sort of trauma, your soul fragments. As a shaman, I will, we're doing shamanic energy work. I will journey with clients and we'll go down to chambers and we retrieve part of their soul fragment that is manifested as an inner child or their little girl or little boy. And so it's timeline therapy is what it is.
Yeah. Like, okay, we're going to need a few episodes with Marcie, girl. I'm out here. Where's Elon's lights?
So one of the questions I picked up in my dustpan from the beginning is, how do I incorporate this into corporate? Like, obviously you can't walk in and be like, bro, your team needs some inner child work.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. We need to go get some of your soul fragments out of the chambers.
Right.
You can't really.
No, you can't go there. But we can talk about like effective communication and emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
Right. And those are the things that you talk about. And self-awareness is one of the stages in emotional intelligence.
Well, yes. And I feel like emotional intelligence has become like such a buzzword, especially in the leadership space, and so I feel like in a lot of ways, people scratch that. Organizations have really seen people gravitating to this work, right? And are trying to use it to like make their teams really enticing or whatever. Like, oh, we're emotionally intelligent. We're reading these, we're doing this and all this stuff. And it's like, I find that I always say this on this podcast and everywhere in my life, you can only lead as far as you've gone.
Right.
Right. And it gets revealed pretty quickly who's using vernacular and who's doing work. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying.
So I think that's, and so to your point, when I told you this summer, I was like, I told Rachel, I'm like, no more retreats. I told you, I'm not doing these things. I'm done with leadership. I don't need it. I'm just going to live my life. And I'm just going to, and I was angry all summer because I had a bunch of stuff come up. Yes. My inner teenager stuff. And I didn't realize that's like what was going on. And it was like the anger and the, my inner freaking emo girl was just really, really having a moment. And of course, like, I'm not let off the hook that easily, right? Because here I am doing this damn podcast because I told Jesse we were going to do it.
Oh, wait a minute.
Thanks for holding me accountable.
It's all your fault.
It's Jesse's fault. We're blaming Jesse. No, but I'm saying, like, obviously I still feel inclined to come out here and share, but I had this understanding when I was like, oh my gosh, my inner teenager, this is what's going on. And all the themes that I've been working through all summer really speak to that. It's not really like inner child stuff necessarily anymore, but it's this other thing. And so I'm sorry, I know I'm dragging on and on, but the download that I got today was like, who then am I? Right? If this like person that I've become, right, was, and we're just doing this in real time now on the podcast. We're just fucking going
That's
there.
how we roll. I'm
spilling my guts. But what I'm saying is, like, this person who has been so agreeable, if lots of people from different areas of different times in my life would all kind of describe me the same way. Oh my gosh, she's so funny. She's so loud. She's so loud, funny, charismatic, bubbly, agreeable, nice, la la la, whatever people say. I'm sure some people out there have other things to say about me. I got people, but for the most part, this personality that I've like constructed, I just started kind of spiraling today, realizing like I had to construct some of these things for survival, right? Yes. I had to learn how to be funny and like on my feet immediately. And Jesse, we've talked about this on other podcasts too.
And using your humor.
Yeah. Like because I was absolutely. Because I was, overweight in high school. I'm a big girl now still, even though I'm into fitness and stuff. Like I've always been big, and I've always been able to rely on my personality for my safety, for social safety. Armor. Absolutely. And it was like not even a choice. It's like fight or flight. Like if I don't like make fun of myself or find a way to win over this room, I'm dead meat, dude.
Right.
And I learned that very early, and then have latched onto that. And I'm like having this whole
identity crisis.
Yeah. This like unraveling today of going, well, wait a minute. I don't feel like I'm allowed to be angry. I don't feel like I'm allowed to like advocate for myself.
Come over to the 8 side of the room. We'll help you.
That's what I'm saying. But this is why this
we say no more than yes.
I know you do, you fuckers. But what I'm saying is like just realizing that this like year for me that's been so stressful, and I've shared a lot of that on this podcast actually. Like I've been really struggling with some of this stuff.
Spill the name or the name.
Spill your guts, right? Because I'm just keeping. Look, we can't have a podcast about spilling your guts and not keep it all the way real. And so at this point, it's too late now. It's all out here. So I'm just being honest. But it's like, I guess I started to wonder today because I have this personality, and I don't think I'm being fake. Like I am being who I am. This is the only way I know how to be. But I had the thought the first time today that I've ever thought this, like, who would I be if I hadn't had to construct and rely on this personality?
Congratulations.
Is this real? Like, what the fuck?
I want to congratulate you because the role that you've had to play to survive no longer fits, right? So now you're in this moment, this sacred pause of being like, who am I? Right?
Yeah.
So you're kind of recircling back through the first 3 stages of Dharma. And then after your spiritual awakening, you're going to start on your Dharma.
What is Dharma?
Dharma is purpose.
Okay.
So you're trying to figure out what your purpose is.
Well, we had a whole conversation about purpose a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I don't believe in it.
All right. Well,
I say no to purpose.
No.
What do you say to that, Marcie?
I say bullshit. And I'm just thinking. And I think you're avoiding it like the leadership conversation because you don't want to lean in. I can see the resistance sitting over here.
Okay. Anyways.
So do you
tell
want to
Jesse something about himself?
Just to let our listeners know, I've gotten mine. To be continued. We're going to promote this later.
No.
Here, I'll give you a break.
No. I this is why I wanted you on. I'm joking because that's what I do when I'm uncomfortable. Yeah. But here we are.
Yeah. So you have an opportunity.
Come on, let me have it. We'll go there. We're going there.
Are you ready to let go of that personality?
I don't know what that means.
Okay. And that's okay.
Like what? Like I would not even begin to know what that means because I'm still funny, right? Okay. I still get to be funny.
So
absolutely.
If you close your eyes,
okay,
and you fast forward to 5 years from now, and I'm not here in Reno anymore. I'm in Germany or somewhere else.
Leaving me,
and I'm coming back, and we run into each other in the airport. What do you say? What would you say that you'd want to accomplish in those 5 years? You're like, Marcie, I haven't seen you in so long. What would you tell me?
But what does accomplishment
what
have
do you
to do with personality stuff?
Well, wait there.
Okay.
So what would you want to say?
I would want to say, Marcie, you son of a bitch. Why didn't you take me with you?
I mean, that's still an option. We're still co-creating our future.
I would want to report to you that I'd finally finished writing my books.
Okay.
Then I was going to meet Oprah, like I've been saying for years.
Okay.
And that,
So you met Oprah, you finished her
Then I lovingly released the job at the factory because I no longer needed that anymore. Girl, I would love to be able to tell you that.
That was so like 2022.
No disrespect, but you know, I feel like I've learned all the lessons I need to learn there.
Your soul came with a mission.
Okay.
Right? So my question to you then would be, who do you need to be able to finish those books, to be able to have that conversation with Oprah? So whatever aspects of your personality now and that role that you've played to survive, it's time to lovingly let that go and become the person that you're meant to be. And unfortunately for little Mandy, that's in fucking leadership.
How are we feeling right now?
My cheeks are red. Gosh dang you, Rachel Prairie.
Rachel, come back.
You just effectively avoided a hot seat, bitch, and I'm pissed.
I'm no longer invited.
50-50.
This is.
No,
I'm going to give you a
Marcie,
break.
you're coming back. This is fantastic.
I'm going to give you a break for 1 second.
Please do.
Okay. So let's circle back to the whole woo-woo thing.
Okay.
And I'm going to reread the definition of what that is. And I would like to have you answer the difference between another definition I'm going to give you.
Okay.
Ready?
I hope you guys appreciate this, listeners out there, that I'm just like letting you watch me be in a session with Marcie.
Yeah.
Full on.
She's sweating like a whore church right now. Woo-woo. Ready? Unconventional beliefs regarded as having little or no scientific basis, especially relating to mysticism, spirituality, or alternative medicine. Okay, ready for the next definition? What's the definition of a miracle? A surprising and welcome event that is not explainable by natural or scientific laws and is therefore considered to be the work of a divine agency. I tell you, it's whoever's writing fucking definitions.
Dude. What?
So it's whatever metric tool for success.
Woo is miracles.
Pretty much.
Okay. I submit to your authority. No thanks.
My definition of miracle always came from Pulp Fiction.
Which would be?
The last scene when they're talking in the cafe about after they almost got shot by the gangsters that almost got shot.
Right.
And then they saw a miracle and they defined it.
What was the definition?
Oh, I put myself on the hot seat.
You totally did.
When the impossible is made possible.
Yep.
That's what John Travolta said.
Wow. That's really, really powerful. So, okay. So when one finds themselves in several cycles of spiritual awakening, is this just what it is? Like, I'm not crazy, right? Like Rachel and I always joke on this podcast that like either all this stuff is real or we're mentally ill.
I mean, it could be a mix of both, honestly.
I'm not trying to laugh at that because that's very actually possible and real. But the truth is like accepting that there, like once there is some understanding and you get like your feet underneath you again, here comes another wave of lessons, right? Like that's just to be expected.
For sure. Because the universe is like, hey, did Mandy really learn her lesson? Right?
So do you think that we are tested?
I do think we're tested.
Interesting. I do too, but I call it a do you mean what you say?
Yeah.
When it pops up.
Yeah.
So I feel like it comes around.
Yeah,
like, do you really mean what you say?
I mean, if you're on the train of status quo and you're not paying attention to the signs and signals that are going by, right? Of course, it's going to be like, I think the universe is like, hey, are they really paying attention?
Yeah.
Did they really learn their lesson?
Yeah, it's tough.
Do they really mean what they say?
Yeah.
Are they going to change? And, you know, like, I don't think that personal growth and development ever ends.
Well, I joked around a bunch that I feel like I fucked up because I was talking so much about turning 40 this year and how like I was going to be transformed and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I actually feel like I called that in because I feel like that whole thing I was trying to explain to you about like my personality and stuff. I had a little moment at work today where I really don't know how to explain it. It was just like, I realized that like that whole sort of jovial, agreeable, like, what do you need? I'll do that. I'm your guy. That's like, I was relying on that. And it was, I, for the first time, saw that as like a shield.
But that's your two.
I know.
So let's break that down.
Okay, break it down.
You are a chronic people pleaser.
And that is on an Enneagram
2
is a 2.
It's called a helper.
So how would you, just real quick, because I don't want to spiral into like an Enneagram episode, but just for anyone who's not familiar, how would you explain that real quick in a couple sentences?
The Enneagram is like an ancient tool. It's been around for thousands and thousands of years. And it's a personality test that are 9 types. And normally if I say to clients that you're going to have a personality test, they cringe and you can see the look on their face.
Immediately think of like Myers-Briggs and stuff.
Well, they think that they're going to get pigeonholed into one type. And the reason that I like the Enneagram is that you can be aspects of all different 9 types.
Yeah, we really all are.
You are.
A mixture.
And
We're
it
just
depends.
dominant.
And why I use it in my practice is, as a stress relief and purpose expert, is I'm helping clients bring awareness to things that they are and things that they're not. Mm-hmm. And then it gives them different language for them to use.
Right. So for me, as an example of that, I'm an Enneagram 2, which is called the helper.
Right.
And the fatal flaw of the helper is people pleasing.
Mm-hmm. And not setting healthy boundaries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But the champion 2 is the guy who is, reliable. But you do things, and when you are an unhealthy version of yourself, you do things for people to be loved and needed. Mm-hmm. And when you feel that you are not appreciated, then you get pissed. Mm-hmm. And just so you don't feel totally on the hot seat and your cheeks start getting as red as your solo cup here, you like 2s and 8s, this side of the room typically get mistyped. So I was typed as a 2 for a really long time. So I can totally relate, mm-hmm. and I'm empathetic to how you feel. And I can see those patterns in my life and how they've shown up and how they have not served me. Mm-hmm. Right. So you're saying that like one of the cool tools of the Enneagram is to be able to see like the potential of who you are when you're in your highest self and your best energy, your most healed.
And when you're in the basement.
And then when you're not, when you're not being your high self and you're in your toxic behaviors, which is when I'm people pleasing for sure.
When Jesse, Rachel, and I are our healthy selves, we emanate a healthy 2.
Oh, interesting.
So all the people that would be involved in this podcast today, if Rachel was not here,
she's here in spirit.
Exactly. It would be that we are all of service to other people, but we're managing being of service to other people with healthy boundaries.
So would you say that a 2 in their high self emanates more of an 8 energy then?
Yes, because they're able to set healthy boundaries
and not like be sort of crippled by fear of rejection and all that.
I don't know if fear of rejection, but it's not being loved. Maybe abandonment.
Interesting. What would be a good resource people could go look at if they were interested in the Enneagram?
EnneagramInstitute.com is a good one.
Cool. What about your websites, Mars? Where could people go to find you? We're going to have you back on this motherfucker.
Yeah. They can find me all over the place. TheWildSageSociety.com, LivingYourSoulsPurpose.com, or MarcieWalker.com.
Yay. Oh my gosh. Do you have any like last burning thoughts, like Jerry Springer's final thought, but Marcie Walker's final thought? Take care of yourselves and each other. She's gonna give me some like wild homework.
No.
Okay. Oh, again, I'm aging myself for all of you people that did grow up watching Jerry Springer.
My piece of advice would be: you are what you're looking for.
Ooh. Just to everyone or me specifically? I'm just going to tuck that away in my heart forever.
No, I think everybody, because I was always looking for things outside of me to make me feel whole. Right. And then the journey was finally realizing that I'm exactly what I'm looking for.
And then it's just the journey is then inward and onward.
It's stepping into being who I am supposed to be.
Marcie, beautiful human. Thank you so much for coming on and spilling your guts.
Thank you. Am I welcome back?
I 100% hope so, because I have a fucking bone to pick with certain people who aren't here who need to be put on blast.
I need to meet her.
She's the best. She's the best. And I know that she actually really, really wanted to meet you and be on today, but we just couldn't make it work with time schedules and stuff. But we will have you back, because we need to pick back up where we've left off here. So thank you so much. And we'll see you guys next time.